Okay, let's have a look at the structure deck. It's familiar possessed. It's not a very good deck. I could tell you that much. Unless they give the deck a really broken skill, which I don't think they are. Because, yeah, are we getting a broken skill? Usually they give us a broken skill for structure decks, but because Spirit Charmers don't belong to any specific character, I don't think they are going to give it a skill unless they really want the deck to be played. But okay, I don't think there's no new skill. Let's just read the cards, I guess. It's not good, I can tell you. Okay, Spirit Charmers. Discard one card, you can take 2 cards from a deck which have one of these names and just add one to your hand and set the other. So it's just a double search. The deck is so bad that even a double search on a quick play won't save them. It's also a hot once per turn, by the way. Okay, this is a field spell. It has pretty cool effects, but it does not have the names that are listed in this quick play. It needs to be a possessed spell trap, but this is not a possessed spell trap, so it cannot be searched. You negate your opponent's first monster effect, and it's mandatory, so your opponent can just use a monster effect to just bait this field spell, and it will automatically use the negate, and then your opponent can just do the combos. And also it's a field spell, so you can just pop it with any kind of back row removal. And also it's unsearchable. Okay, during the main phase, you can reveal one of your spellcasters in your hand and also add a 1500, 200 defense monster with the same attribute for a deck. And then you shuffle the reveal card. So you're just exchanging one for one. You're basically going to add one of the, I believe one of one of the familiars, by exchanging one of your spellcasters back to your deck. And yeah, it's bad. Okay, there's this trap card. You can special summon one spellcaster type monster with 1500 defense from your hand or graveyard in attack position, or face up defense position, and then if you control 2 monsters with 2 or more different attributes, you can destroy one face up card in the field. So it's basically a reborn and maybe a pop. At least it's searchable. And yeah, it's basically a pretty bad pop. Basically, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then target a possessed continuous spell trap in your graveyard and then does it place them on your field. Yeah, okay, it recycles your stuff. Unpossessed. Charmer monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. Okay, this is probably the card that makes the deck at least playable, because your opponent can't just beat over your monsters. But it doesn't really make the deck good, and also it's still a trap, so you can still pop it. And yeah, you could set it back using the ultra rare trap, but you know, if you Cosmic Cyclone it, it gets banished and you can't set it back. Okay, if a Familiar Possessed attacks and opponent's monster, it gains 800 attack. Okay, I guess. If a monster you control is destroyed by battle card effect, you can special summon a special monster. Okay, I think this card is the card that makes the deck work. It makes your monsters not be able to destroy by battle, and also if your familiars get destroyed by your opponent, you can summon your Charmers from your deck. Okay, here's the problem, right? The Charmers are terrible. Look at these cards. They're released on, I think, the very first box of the entire game in like 2016. That probably tells you how bad these cards are. The familiars are a bit better. I guess they special summon themselves, so they're level 4, and they have different effects. They aren't the individual effects aren't like really good, but they do have, at least their effects are better than the Charmers. But yeah, the deck is not very good. So yeah, I do not recommend buying this deck. It's also an EX because of course it's an EX structure deck. Why wouldn't it be an EX structure deck? Okay, yeah, don't buy this deck. I'll probably still buy one copy just to do the free-to-play deck video, but like, I do not recommend this deck at all. Okay, let's have a look at the new selection box. There is Photon Sanctuary. It gives you 2 tokens for you to do the Link Summon. I know what this card does. It basically gives you access to your Link using a single card. It's also pretty searchable because of your skill. There's a skill, Galaxy Photon, the old skill that people used to use for photons that allows you to return a monster and grab a spell trap. And yeah, this card is searchable with that skill and just gives you access to the Link for basically free. Is it worth an ultra rare? I'm not sure, but you have that card right now. If you really like photons, it's a decent card for your deck. Will it make your deck good? Probably not. But yeah, you'll have access to the Link much more easily. Much more easily. Oh, Tour Guide is in this box. Okay. Is Luster Pendulum in this box? No, it's not. Okay, so at one point I I had 2 copies of Tour Guide because of the bug of the shop. And then they removed that copy, and now they're putting it back in the selection box, so we could get free copies of this card after all. But here's the problem, right? This card is really very good at Burning Abyss specifically, but both Tour Guide and Beatrice is at free. So even when I had 2 copies of Tour Guide, I'm still I still have the choice of either playing 2 Tour Guide and 1 Beatrice, or 1 Tour Guide and 2 Beatrice. But now you can have free copies of this card. But you won't play no Beatrice and free Tour Guides. I don't think anyone would do that. So I don't know how significant this is going to be in Burning Abyss specifically, while Beatrice is at free. But at least playing 2 Tour Guides and 1 Beatrice is now an option. Personally, I would still probably prefer 2 Beatrice, but yeah. Anyway. Pop Dualities in this box. Nice. Okay, let's talk about Lost Wind. Lost Wind is basically a fiendish, but not a continuous spell, not a continuous trap, but like it sets itself back one more time. Okay, it targets a special summoned monster, it negates the effects permanently. This is very important. And also it halves the original attack. And if an opponent special summons from your opponent's extra deck, it sets itself back, and also it gets banished when it leaves the field. You can use both effects during the same turn. Yes, because it doesn't have a clause that tells you to use the effect after the turn it's sent. You could use the same effect, you could use both effects in the same turn. So yeah, it's basically a double negate. I think it's one of the better limit-free cards. I'm not sure if that's still better than IDP. I think it kind of depends on the format. But if graveyard decks are meta, IDP would be better. If not, I think Lost Wind is probably one of the best. Yeah. And especially in a back row format like Duel Links, I think having access to 2 negates using a single card is a pretty strong option. Anyway, Exciton Knight is in this box. It's a pretty good rank 4. It's like Malevolent Sin levels of good. I think this will probably see a lot of play in a lot of decks. Just any deck that could play a rank 4 will probably try to play this card. It's a pretty good board wipe, in case you don't know. If your opponent has more cards in their hand and their side of the field than you do, you can detach raw material and destroy everything on the field except for this card. And also your opponent takes no damage for the rest of the turn. And also this is a quick effect. So if your opponent tries to activate something like a Book of Moon when you Exceed summon this card, you can't stop it because you can just chain Exciton Knight and just immediately blow up the field. So if you have Disruption, you have to use it before you make your rank 4. You need to use it on the materials. So yeah, this is probably a game changer. A lot of decks would probably use this card. Infinitrack? I guess there's a new Infinitrack card. Yeah, it tributes an Earth Machine to special summon itself, and also, yeah, this is probably the best level 5 Infinitrack monster. And will this make Infinitrack good? I think this will make Infinitrack at least a competitive, viable deck, but probably not meta, because, well, first of all, this card is in a selection box, so not everyone has enough money for this card, and also, like, Infinitrack is decent. It's gonna make the deck a lot more consistent, but in terms of, like, power level compared to other decks, I still think it might not be enough to be top tier. Okay, next, Pendulum Treasure, just a generic Pendulum search card. It adds a Pendulum to your deck face up. I think it's pretty okay. Court of Cards. If control no monsters, oh, that's Queen's Knight, Jack's Knight support. You can summon one Queen, King, Jack from your hand. Okay, it's or, so you don't summon all three. You pick one and summon one of them. Summons from hand or graveyard. So it doesn't even summon from deck. It just summons from hand or graveyard. Not very impressed. Okay, but it is a continuous trap, so you could use this effect a lot of times. It's kind of like Return of Red Eyes. You can use this effect basically every turn. You can banish up to one of each from your hand or graveyard and draw the same amount of cards you banished. I feel like that's a pretty nice card. It's definitely gonna be a very annoying card as a continuous trap that constantly just puts monsters on field. It's going to be pretty easy to counter considering that it's just a continuous trap that could be popped by anything. But if your opponent doesn't have an out to this card, it's gonna be pretty annoying. Just like the Aromage continuous spells and traps. It's pretty good for like stalling and getting card advantage, but if your opponent pops it, you really don't have anything else to do. Yeah. Okay, do I recommend this selection box? I think Lost Wind is definitely a pretty good card. Pot of Duality has a lot of applications in a lot of different decks. Exciton Knight is a very good card. Okay, I do recommend going into this box and trying to get at least one copy of Exciton Knight, and maybe a Lost Wind if you get lucky. But yeah, if you're gonna spend money, I might not recommend going all out to get 3 copies of Lost Wind. I still think the power level of Lost Wind is still pretty on parallel with cards like IDP or Compulse or Crackdown. And yeah, Lost Wind only works on special summoned monsters, so if your opponent's normal summons a combo starter, you can't use this on that, which limits the usefulness of this card. So it's not a straight power creep of the other 2 cards, other 3 cards. So yeah, I will only recommend just going and getting a copy of Exciton Knight for most players. Yeah, that's basically it.